So you're probably familiar with a recent drama about WOKEHAMMER, formerly known as Warhammer 40K, and now changing for the new audiences and modern times. At least that's the way it's being presented. But stay for this video because you'll understand how there's a lot more about that, and you'll understand also how this goes for movies, TV series, video games. Everything gets devoured by this woke insanity. That it's not accidental, there is a reason, and we'll explore why. Now, specifically in the case of Warhammer, what happened was that it went woke. How so? Well, the new series in which Henry Cavill is involved, and Henry Cavill has already ran from The Witcher when it went woke itself. The idea of The Witcher being about the fucking Witcher was not appealing enough. It needed to change and focus more on the female characters. Now, it's very difficult when literally the name of what you're doing, the game, the TV series, is the fucking Witcher. It is that guy. It's the character played by Henry Cavill. How? Well, they just do it anyway. They start focusing more on other things, and you know how this goes. I mean, they do this with everything. Everything is about the empowerment of women. Everything is about race swapping or gender swapping, and nothing that was can remain anymore. And here is where you listen to someone that comes along and says, who cares? Why do you care so much? What does it matter if it's a man or if it's a woman? What does it matter if it's a white guy or a black guy? Well, a couple things about that. It's first interesting to notice that obviously you care a lot because you decided to do it. So the first person that obviously cares is the person that did the gender swap, the race swap, or whatever modifications has to make what was once beloved a woke pile of garbage. So that's the first reason why you notice, because you cared enough to change it. Second, I care because you grew attached to these worlds, these IPs, the way business guys will talk about the fantasy that you grew up with and learned to love. You know, maybe you liked Harry Potter. You read that as a kid. You read that to your own children like I did with my 3 kids. Now, growing up or having that being read to you, all of a sudden you just erase it all and just swap it. Yeah, why have Harry Potter when we can have Sally Potter? She's an empowered little girl that has a scar. Yeah, why are you even doing that? You're destroying something you grew to love over the years, right? And it's also interesting to notice that you never do it the other way around. You never pick a famously well-known female character and just swap it with a guy. So if it doesn't matter, why is it that you don't do it when it's the other way around? Black Panther, why cannot it be some like Drakeus Duplessis, the guy from UFC? He's a white guy, he's blonde, and he's African as well. Why can't we have a blonde Black Panther? Oh, that would be illogical and crazy. Really? Okay, interesting how that goes. And in the case of Warhammer, it's even more upsetting because they had the option of doing female characters within the Warhammer world. It's not as if it's already well known by the entire global community. Warhammer is a pretty niche thing on its own. And you have these, I mean, I'm not a Warhammer guy. I knew something like that existed, but I never read anything or played. But I knew Warhammer 40K existed, and I liked those little toy things that they paint. They look quite cool. No idea how you use or play with those or anything, but I knew that it was there. Now, looking a little bit into it, you see that there's, factions of warriors that are entire sisterhood. So you have the Adeptus Sororitas sisterhood. I assume these are all pretty much women. And yeah, apparently they are. Then you have the Sisters of Silence, that, yeah, maybe not great for a TV series, but they have these powers. And maybe, you know what, it's challenging, but it can be super interesting to have a character that is female that does not speak and communicates with sign language. In the same way, you have the Mandalorian, a guy that up until recently did not even show his face, right? So all these challenges make for a creative alternatives that can be quite interesting if that's what you're interested in doing. But they are not interested in doing that. They're interested in going into the one thing that was supposed to be all guys, the custodians, which were the elites of the elites, warriors, which of course by default have to be all men, and not just all men, any men, but the strongest and the toughest guys you could have. Those would be the elite of the elite, and yes, those are guys. Why? Because men are stronger than women, and if you haven't figured that already, maybe you need to go back to kindergarten and learn a thing or two more. But yes, guys are stronger and faster. It's not a matter of debate. It's not. And when you remove that, you end up with shit like this, right? Critical Drinker recently talking about it. I did my own piece on it when part 1 came up. You just cannot tolerate it. It goes so far against common sense and logic that it's unbearable. Yes, I can suspend reality enough to assume that in the future there are spaceships, but you know what you cannot do? Pretend that 2 plus 2 equals 5 or 6 or 1,000. No, it's always going to be 4. And if you want to change that, then all right, what are we even doing here? What are we doing pretending that a 100-pound, 40-year-old woman, right, is beating the crap out of a guy that is 20 and 100 and 200 pounds, twice her weight, and 10 years younger? It is impossible. And she does that with one arm, right? It gets to the point where it's hard to watch. And the more you do this, the more you insist, the harder it gets. And here's the point in which someone comes along and says, oh, you just hate women. No, I don't. I'm married to one very happily. So I have no problem whatsoever with women of any kind. I'm more than okay with all sorts of men, women, people of different ethnicities. I enjoy the different cultures and traveling, all of that crap. I'm okay with all of this. Now, the idea that you need to do this shit so as to have female what? Heroes? You've never seen Alien, Sigourney Weaver, doesn't ring a fucking bell at all? Now that's a pretty strong female character. She's strong in the things that women can be strong. She's not beating the aliens with her bare hands, just punching the crap out of him because she's a girl boss. No, it's the way in which women can be strong, not physically, but strong of character, resourceful, getting through shit, right? Those are the things that are more believable. And guess what? That's the kind of thing that actually works and people enjoy watching. A ton of men watched Alien 1, the movie, and liked it, and the series that came maybe were not as good. How many guys have played Lara Croft? That's a woman. And how many men have watched the movie of Lara Croft with but she's hot. Yeah, well, yes, yeah, that's how it goes. Hot women tend to be more attractive than unattractive people, and anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to themselves, and even worse, trying to lie to you. But when you have a character that makes sense and works, no one has a problem with it. When you make this bullshit, then yes. Now, going back to the Warhammer thing, why is it that with so many options, they chose to go and fuck around with the one thing that was supposed to be just guys? Because that's the idea. The idea is impose the idea of the patriarchy, the new versions of whatever, of feminism. These are the same people that tell you that you need to empower women in fantasy La La Land, but at the same time force you to accept that a guy competes in a swimming team against women in the real world. A dude beating women in the real world in competitions and taking away, scholarships, opportunities in terms of sport against real women. That's how insane this world is. And to wrap this up, we need to understand that it's not accidental. This is all happening for a reason, and people notice it. If you look around, you see that understanding the Warhammer 40k controversy and what it all really means. And, you have, the Critical Drinker did a good analysis of this stuff. Warhammer political gaslighting is absolutely disgusting. So we see it. we know what they're doing. It's not enough to change the lore. And yeah, you rewrite the lore. Oh yeah, male or female child. Yes, of course. Because if you want the strongest possible human being, you will go pick up little girls. Oh yeah, it's not enough to change the lore. They have to lie about the past as well. Large Warhammer, and this is something that loses money, and that's usually as far as it goes. It goes as far as saying, hey. And you have these hit pieces like only bigots hate female Adeptus Custodians, because why would you not like them, right? Or crap like this. How to stop a teenage girl from playing Warhammer? Well, maybe if the teenage girl does not want to play Warhammer, go play something else. Go watch the latest Barbie movie or whatever the hell you like. You don't have to change everything to make it appealing to you. You're not that fucking special. But why is it they do this? Well, we end up with the fucking score. The Environmental, Social, and Governance score. The ESG, right? The ESG score, which basically dictates that everything needs to be woke. We cannot have Fallout. It has to be Fallout with a girl lead. Alright, that's going to be giving you a point in our beloved ESG score. Wouldn't it make more sense that if we're doing Fallout TV series and we're throwing a guy into the wasteland, wouldn't it be more like you go with a man for that sort of thing? Usually. Oh, no, it has to be okay. What about the other ones? Well, we will have another character. Can we make that? Yeah, sure. Make all of them women, like in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is 60% women, right? Or aliens, but women. Well, no, give me a black guy. Give me something that is not a white man, because white men are bad. And it's interesting how you can bring like a black guy or maybe a Filipino or something that's a little bit more brown or darker, but you cannot have a white guy. These people think that way. And they think that way because they're the most racist, disgusting human beings on the face of the earth. They pretend to be anti-racism and anti-discrimination, while at the same time they're the worst kind of people, the kind of people that only judge others by the color of their skin. But that's what they do. So if you're going to be having another guy besides the lead little lady going into a waste, it has to be, well, a black guy. What kind of, doesn't matter. Just bring a black guy. And if he can act, that's going to be even better. But the most important thing, he has to be black. Cannot be a white guy. Well, what about the other one? Well, we could have a white guy, but let's cover his face in prosthetics and plastics to assume, not even, make it visible. Let's hide the white guy as something that you should be ashamed because of this shit that you see here, because of the ESG score, which goes for TV series, it goes for video games, it goes for all arts, it goes for businesses and companies. They literally look at the ethnicity and whatever background you have for the people you hire in any company. Some of the largest banks, some of the largest financial corporations, they have little fucking Excels with, are you gay? Okay, that gives me a point. Do we have a gay employee? Oh, well, that's great. Do we have someone from some kind of minority? Can we claim a minority? For example, I would be fantastic. I could go like a colored Latino employee. That's fucking great. I mean, I could even claim, no, are you a man or, I don't know, man. It could be anything. So you're gender fluid? Yes, of course. Fucking great. It becomes this insane joke that is quite evil underneath. And if you're thinking that I could not go as a brown Latino, look at the article of Anya Taylor fucking Joy. She won the Person of Color prize on something that, yeah, it made it to the news because of how ridiculous it was that a woman that is so obviously white won some Person of Color thing. But it all comes down to the more sinister agenda, right? And yes, they will lose money. Like right now, GameWorks CFO sells 2/3 of her stake. She sold her stock on the company, 700, like almost $1 million, because yes, it's probably gonna get screwed because a lot of the people that like Warhammer were like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing all of this? Well, you're doing all of this because of BlackRock. BlackRock, the largest, most perverse financial corporation in the planet, BlackRock owns everything. It owns pieces of Amazon. It owns a chunk of actually Disney is mostly owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. And if you're thinking, oh, that's good, so we have BlackRock and Vanguard, no, it's the same fucking thing. BlackRock owns parts of Vanguard, and Vanguard owns parts of BlackRock itself, and there's Main Street there as well, and it's all of these the three largest corporations in the planet, they all own each other. It's basically the agenda of the elites, that the conspiracy theory. Well, that's a conspiracy theory, and it's not a theory. It's a conspiracy, not so much theoretical, but very much real. You have the guy in charge of BlackRock, which simply represents the interests of these people, Larry Fink, saying that they have an obligation to sway people to think and behave a certain way. And the way they want you to think is that men are evil, especially white men are evil, and the roles of men are perverse and toxic, and a strong woman is something that does not even look like a woman, it actually looks like a guy, and the traditional roles of women are wrong, and the traditional roles of men, so as to protect and provide for families, are wrong. Hell, even families are fucked up. We cannot have that anymore. And when you get down to it, why is it that all of these companies need to follow ESG? Because they choose to do so. Because either BlackRock is either imposing it on them, or BlackRock owns the company itself. It's not that Amazon has to follow what BlackRock has in mind with this ESG score. No, it's just an excuse. Like, we have to, get the points. But it's all the same thing because they own everything. They own everything from Disney to Raytheon, from cartoons to bombs and planes. These people own the world, and they want us to think and behave in a certain way. That's why when we have our friend, the critical drinker, saying, oh, but they're losing this much money, and Marvel loses this much money, and Disney, they don't care. They don't care because they're the people that print the money in the first place. So they can lose billions of dollars. The goal is not to make money. So if Marvel goes bankrupt, if Disney loses whatever hundreds of billions of, it doesn't matter. It does not change a damn thing. They know. You think they're stupid that when they do shitty video games or movies or TV series and it doesn't work, you think, no, it's all about changing the way people think. It's all about modifying society in a way that appeals to what they want. Easy to manipulate, easy to control fucking slaves that have no perception of self, that have no pride. Not the pride, this shit pride that you see there. No, real pride in who you are as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a father, as a mother, as a family, as a tribe, as a society, as a culture. No, all of that needs to be destroyed. You need to be nothing at all and need to be happy with owning nothing, as they said in their famous 2030 projection. You'll own nothing at all and be happy. Well, you'll own nothing and be happy, and you'll be no one and not exactly be happy, but you'll just have to deal with it. Folks, that's going to be all for now. See you on the next one. Take care.